morning, everybody. Whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world, this is Coast to Coast on Memorial Day. How's it going, man?
Hey, it's another cold, rainy day to start summer, and it couldn't be any better. Let me tell you. I will tell you that I am in a beach town. I am in Fenwick Island, Delaware, which is in between, we'll say, like Dewey Beach, Bethany Beach, Rehoboth Beach, and Ocean City, Maryland.
Okay.
And it's about as dead as a beach town could be during the summer.
Well, I mean, if it's raining, it makes some sense.
And cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, like rain is one thing. Cold is another. Like it's like there was people wearing like heavy, like no shorts. You know, people are wearing like coats and hoodies and stuff like that. It's a great start to the summer, let me tell you.
We've had many summers start that way here.
But but yeah, other than that, it's it's okay for me. I don't mind it because the traffic's a lot lighter.
I mean, there's that.
Yeah, that makes life a lot easier in that regards.
Absolutely.
But other than that, it's I've been sitting around watching some sports and seeing how things are going, and it's been interesting to watch what's been happening in the world of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean the Knicks are doing what we kind of thought they would do. And then on the other side, the Spurs OKC series is tied up at 2 apiece, which I expected. I didn't expect it to be every win being lopsided, though.
That's the odd part, that I am unsure on what's happening. It's like obviously it being so lopsided, it being like 15 point, like at no point was it like they got up to a 20-point lead and then it just maintained.
Yeah,
at 20 points the entire game. It wasn't even close. And it was kind of like the same way on game 3 when I saw it and was watching it. I was like, wow, at no point was the Spurs really in the game.
Yeah. No, it's been unique. Like it's I expected those to be like, I expected the series to be where it is at 2 apiece. I just thought they were going to be heavily contested, maybe multiple overtime kind of games.
Right. And I mean, just to speak about yesterday's game, at what point do you realize that you're not making threes and should just not try anymore?
Oh, no, they don't do that. Like
when you're 6 for 33 from the arc.
Yes.
Like
no, it's funny because the way basketball is played today is like somebody that's really bad at the stock market. They're like, oh, I'm getting smoked on this. Let me double down. It's like, yeah, I'm with you. And some of it is we're just older and we remember that the mid-range game was effective, right? And so if you're not hitting from the arc, I don't know why you're not finding other spots on the floor to hit from. Plus, if you hit some of those mid-range, you can start to find your range and you might start hitting some of those threes again.
And some of the plays that were staples back in the 80s and 90s have just disappeared.
Oh, yeah.
There is no give and go. There is no like isolations anymore. It's just like it's a shame, actually, because I feel like that really has taken away from the game. It's always, hey, let's just shoot it from 3 and see if we can make it. And when we can't make it and we start to get down by a lot, let's just keep shooting threes and hopefully we'll make them.
Yeah, exactly. No, if you want to see plays like give and goes and, actual, screens and closeouts and all that, you got to watch the WNBA. Unfortunately, that's where you're at. Otherwise, if you're in the NBA, you're either going in for a dunk or you're jacking it up from 28 plus.
Well, and that, it makes me think about like a team in baseball that plays small ball. Eventually, there's going to be a team in basketball that starts to do these things again, and
Sure.
you're going to see them start to win. It makes me think that that's kind of how Detroit got as far as they did, and then they got away from it against Cleveland.
That's fair.
Because Detroit's not, you don't hear about the one guy who can just kill it from three. They just score a lot of points in mid range and gets a lot of 2-pointers and things like that. And it's, the thing is if you're going to shoot it from 25, you might as well shoot it from 28. You know what I mean? Because there's no sense in stepping on the line. You might as well.
For sure.
So it's like, it's either you got to go into 15 or 13 and then, the problem with that is that I guess so is everybody else is in there, and then you have to contest all those rebounds. Again, I don't know.
You got to
this
try
game
for
is so
rebounds.
different. Yeah, this game is so different than it used to be, and like I just feel like that there's so many different, very specific things that you could do to make things so much better for your team that none of these teams do anymore. Like rebound, like hey. Have 3 people under the basket to rebound or 2 people under the basket to rebound. If everybody converges on the ball, there's a good chance because those other guys aren't going to converge against the ball because they're on the outside perimeter.
Exactly. Well, and not only that, then you end up with, you could force Wemby out of the way because he's not a huge human if you just actually box people out. Plus, you could get him into foul trouble because he'd be over the back all the time.
Right.
And a 40-footer, absolutely. I mean, those logo shots are, not super uncommon. So
they're like, hey, why not? If I'm going to miss from 28, it's just like missing from 40 or from half court even.
Exactly.
It's like because they started to give out the 4-point play in at those areas. Oh, that's right. They didn't.
They sure didn't. But they might.
It's coming. It's coming. You're going to get the areas where it's like the second arc where it doesn't really count. Like it's
right.
If you shoot it from back here, you get 4 points.
If they do that, the game will be ruined. Because then, I mean, you're going to have so many people just launching from, half court at that point.
Well, at that point, truth of the matter is that if you were to do something like that, that becomes a 2-3 game, because you have 2 people in those areas there and 3 people under the basket to try to rebound, because that's how you would do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting how there'd be a lot of turnovers trying to pass back to that. Plus you'd have that arc would have to be at like 30 feet, probably.
I'd say 35.
Well, because
32.
I was going to say it can't be quite that far, because if you're half court, or close to it, then you run the risk of over and backs just trying to do that. Right. Or you'd have to get rid of that rule. So maybe 32. I could see that. And it'd be terrible. There'd be lots of turnovers, incredible amount of missed shots. Although if you're a fan, you'd love that play, because when they heel off, they're going to go, that ball's going to the crowd every time.
Right. Then you get to keep the basketball and go home and,
Yeah, like arena football.
Like baseball. Yeah. Just like baseball. You get to keep the ball. And
yep.
Yeah, that would, I don't see that happening.
Not at all.
But like I said, it's or you just do like the what was it, the rock and jock, where you had the triple baskets. Let's just bastardize the entire sport.
Yeah, let's just ruin it. Man.
But let's going on the other side, when they take the hardwood off of they have ice, and
they do.
It's obviously Carolina came back and they got an overtime win against the Canadians, which was expected. I think. I feel like that um, they looked rusty in game one, and there was
Yep.
no way that they were going to. They had to win that. That was definitely a must-win situation for them for
Yes.
game two. They couldn't have gone to Montreal down 2-0. On the other side, you want to just talk about this is the reason why the Vegas Knights fired their coach and hired
Yep.
Tortorella.
Yeah.
He is straight out coaching his counterparts in Colorado. And
Absolutely.
they are winning these games, and they're all close games. Obviously, it's not like that they're going out like every
Mhm.
game. I think has been a 2-point win because they've been scoring the empty net goals. But
Yeah.
they've been 1-point games, and they are straight. When you're losing 1-point games over and over again, it's actually coaching. It's not anything else beyond that.
Yeah.
And
No,
that's
I agree with you.
interesting.
Like that series is I expect it to start to really fall Carolina's way. Like I think they are the better team just overall. But yeah, the Knights, man, they're taking it to them.
Yeah, and this series is not over by any stretch. If there was a team who was going to be able to come back from a 3-0 deficit, I feel like that it could be Colorado.
Sure.
It's going to be interesting to see if the coach can make adjustments, because ultimately I feel that, like I said, that he's been outcoached in this. And it's one thing when it's when you're looking at the team as a whole and you're saying, okay, this team is not performing well. It's harder to look in the mirror and take the blame as a coach yourself.
Sure.
Of a hockey team, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
and you have to start to do that. Like it's maybe, I mean, they're definitely now so in hockey, you don't go like when you get into this situation, you start to shorten your bench. So, and ultimately you're doing 3 lines instead of 4.
Yeah.
And you're putting out 2 face-off guys each time. So your lines are going to change a little bit here. You may even decide to go maybe a hair where you are putting 4 linemen out there and 1 defenseman.
Yeah.
Because you got to start taking out your chances and opportunities here. And I wonder how much he's going to start to do that. You got to be able to do it, and you have to balance that without seeming desperate.
Sure.
Along with everything else. And it's like I said, the series isn't over. And I feel like that if Colorado wins 1, it could go 7. But
yeah, we're talking about Charlie Sheen.
yeah, I just saw that. It took a second for it to register over here. Yeah, that's not the type of lines we're talking about, but hey, it is a holiday.
Man.
But it's yeah, this, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see, because I feel that this is one of those times where you can't give them an inch.
Yeah.
You almost have to win this at home right now. Now, you can give up 1. I think if you give up 1, you wind up giving up 2, because Colorado is going to be back home. It's going to be a fight. You've given up that. And that's where I start to get a little nervous.
Sure.
And since Tortorella has taken over, he has had no adversity. Like
Yeah,
even
no, they've been winning.
Yeah, so it's when you're going up against as good a team as Colorado is, giving up that first one and then giving up that second one, is going to be the hard part. Like, because now you're game 6 at home, and that's your must win because you can't go to game 7. I don't think that works for them. That's why I said initially that Vegas has to win in 6. They'll not win in 7. If they lose 3 in a row, they're going to lose the 4th in a row.
Probably. Yeah. No, I'm with you there. It's I don't know. It'll be interesting if Colorado can figure it out. I don't think they do.
I don't think so either. I think that they're squeezing now. It's like they got the pucker going. But I mean, it's like I said, we'll find out tomorrow night. Yep. It's going to be interesting to kind of watch that game. And like I said, playoff hockey is great, and I feel that tonight is going to be. I mean, Montreal and that side of Canada hasn't seen an Eastern Conference final, in forever. The last time, I mean, interestingly enough, the last time Montreal was in a conference final, they were as the Western Conference, quote unquote, as that was the COVID year where they actually played as the Western Conference final, against, I think it was the Lightning. I think the Lightning won that as well. So, but that was, like if you go back in the day of NHL hockey, they didn't care whether you were East Coast or West Coast. They just put everybody in the pool, the playoff pool, and you got to win as you won. And that's how you had 2 teams from the same division wind up playing in a Stanley Cup, when it was like the Islanders and the Flyers. And that they played each other like 7 times that season, and then they went to a 7-game series for the Stanley Cup in 1980, which was stolen by the referees. If they had replay back in 1980, the Flyers could have won that cup.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you'd have to look that up. I'm not even going to go into that. I'm not. There was an offsides call. Leon Stickle with the offsides call, the non-offsides call. The fact that I even know that, and I remember that referee's name shows you how bad of a call that was.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, anytime you know a ref's name, it's never for a good thing. Like,
correct.
Like 0 times are you like, oh, I wonder who's the ref today? Like, you don't care. You just want it to be a good game. And if it's not, then that's when you know who it is.
CB Buckner.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So,
yeah.
But anyways, so what? I haven't watched any baseball, except I know that the Phillies did lose 2 of 3. It's their second series that they've lost in a row to Cleveland. And the only thing that I ever actually heard about was Rhys Hoskins. Rhys Hoskins came back into Philly and beat us up a little bit. And everybody's wondering if Aaron Nola is the pitcher he used to be. Or can get back to being the pitcher he used to be. At what point do pitchers just lose it and can't get it back?
I mean, it's funny because for pitchers, the decline is generally quick, right? Like you get some of those guys that can kind of change their game to hang on, but you see a lot of those guys, they're good, and then the command just isn't quite there anymore, and it's over.
Yeah, one guy who I can think of right off the top who was able to adjust his game, played for both the Mariners and the Phillies, Jamie Moyer.
100%. Yeah.
He was able to pitch his fastball being a 65 mile per hour fastball and still get people to swing and miss. Like, I mean,
his command was ridiculous. Like that was a guy that could find that little spot. But when he wasn't hitting, Everyone else was.
That's exactly it.
Like
He
his
had
bad
he
games
had
were bad.
well, and that's exactly it. That's why he became middle relief.
Yeah.
You know, you think of like a Phil Niekro who could throw the knuckleball. Like a knuckleball pitcher right now would probably do amazing if
Sure.
you had a catcher that could catch it. You know, that's the other part of that. And that he could throw it with any bit of accuracy.
Yeah.
And that's the two hard things about that. You know, the knuckleball pitcher. Phil
Yep.
Niekro was great, you know, but he also was using a lot of pine tar and spit and everything else to be able to cheat. I mean, that's what a knuckleballer does. He does everything he can to cheat,
Sure.
you know, as best as he can. You know, it's like you got to have long fingernails almost to be able to dig into the the leather of the ball so that you can make that spin like funny or not spin even.
Not spin. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, knuckle. I mean, the way they release a knuckleball is just weird anyway. Everything about that throw doesn't look right. So it makes sense that the ball traveling also doesn't look right.
Right.
When it comes to the Mariners, it's they're losing to Casey. They're just they're not playing particularly well. I believe they're 4-6 in the last 10. Still somehow hanging on to that second spot in the division, but yeah, just it hasn't looked good.
And the fact that everybody else in the division stinks is
that's why they're in second.
right. But everybody, like, it's like even the A's are what, one game over 500 or even at 500?
Yeah, they're one game over.
Yeah. So it's you could go on a run anytime after the All-Star break of 13 out of 20.
Sure.
And take a commanding lead in that. Any one of them, and I'm talking including the Angels, who do have little bouts of doing well.
Yeah, well, and the thing that's funny is the Angels, they're not that far out of it, right? I mean, they're 7.5 games back. With as bad as they've played, to only be 7.5 is actually surprising.
Well, and I mean, I guess they're still for sale, right? Like that's what's going on with them. They're doing everything they can to be sold.
I mean, are they?
I don't know. That's you would know better. I thought that they were up for sale, and that's why they were considering trying to move Trout, who's actually having a pretty decent year in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the fact that they had Shohei and, you know, the funny thing is that had they paid him, they probably would be getting more revenue. You know, I guess it's just hard to pay somebody $700 million. Just defer it.
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine.
But I don't know. Not that I've been paying attention to the Dodgers either. Baseball season is, like I said, baseball season has taken a little bit of a back seat to me, and it's been a while since I've been able to say that. I usually when the Flyers are done, I'm not as interested in hockey, but I am more interested this year because the Flyers were in the playoffs, and it's kept me engaged longer.
No, that makes sense. Now, like for me, we got the homestand in the WNBA, and so every other day I've been in the stadium, right? So it's I haven't been able to watch the rest of the stuff quite as intently as I normally would because the games are at the same time. So
right.
You know, I guess speaking,
are they doing any better over there?
Yeah. So they've won their last 2. They're in this 4-game homestand. Their last home game of this will be on Wednesday. We did finally get to see the first round pick. Awa Pham is finally in the building. She was playing for Spain. They won the championship, incidentally. And so she was in the room for Friday's game. but not eligible to play. Right, she was there for her opening press conference and all of that. Yesterday's game, she was listed as probable. Right, so before the game, I was chatting with the coach, and I was like, okay, so what is is she on minutes restriction? Like, if she is, like, what's the target minute, kind of range you're looking for? And she basically said that they were just going to feel it out, right? So there wasn't necessarily an actual plan when it comes to, because sometimes coaches will be like, you're getting 5 minutes, right? Like that's it. We're going to get you in there. We're going to get you the feel for it. You're coming out, right? So she ended up with 20 minutes in this game, which is significant. I think what was
my first thought, and this is more of a question than a statement, although it's going to come out as a statement, that when you have a new piece in the wheel, a new cog in the wheel, it depends on how that wheel starts working. If the wheel's working good, you keep it working. And that's like, it's not like she was not playing over there. She was playing. So it's not an injury minutes restriction. It's a team restriction in terms of, hey, let's see how well we can work together real quickly. And when all of a sudden she's the best player out in the field, like out on the court, because from what I understand, your team was not that good, or at least the record wasn't showing it. Now, all of a sudden you're getting a lot more open looks because she's taking away some of the defense.
Yeah, so it didn't really go that way, but not an impressive stat line at all. It was the plays didn't even really go her way so much. You could tell that she wasn't familiar with the way some of the things were being played, because there was a lot of times where she would just be kind of in a soft zone, just trying to watch and react. Right. So it wasn't that, but she was, she was a factor out there. The presence was felt for sure. The depth of the bench was across the board was heavily active. So whether you were a starter or a bench player outside of one player, almost all of them had 20 minutes. So your starters had like 24, your bench players had 19 to like 22. So the entire roster was heavily involved against beating the Mystics last night. And so, it was just, it was interesting just how that game came together.
Nice. Well, like I said, it's going to be interesting as she continues, and then you have somebody who's still hurt, right? Or is it?
Yeah, two main players. So Ezzy is still out with a foot injury, which that one's rough. And then Dom is also still out with a concussion. That one is concerning because now you're starting to have some real time missing with this concussion. So it makes you wonder, are they holding her back just to be like, hey, we want to make sure everything is cool? Or are you still, exuding symptoms? And if that's the case, that's scary, right? Because then you have no idea when someone's coming back.
Right. That becomes I mean, concussions are funny things nowadays. So it's, well, and how bad was it, the initial concussion in the first place? Was this was it a court accident, or was it something?
It was. Yeah.
So it was fell and hit her head, like the back of her head type thing.
She went down forward, as I recall, but what was interesting is she played that game out. So it's not like she didn't finish the game. So that's why it was weird when the concussion designation popped up on the injury report, because you're like, oh, so when did that happen? And then, once you found out that it was during the game, it's like, well, then how was that not being evaluated then? Especially now that this is continuing to kind of linger on, you're like, oh man, they really messed up not getting her out of the game. Now, it's not viewed like they're not watching for concussions quite the same way they do for the NFL or anything.
Right. It's well, I mean, still scary. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
for sure.
ultimately, certain situations like this is going to create more awareness of certain things. So it's like,
Yeah.
because my thought is that uh, they're probably, if that's the case, they're monitoring. Uh, they put her on one of those running machines. They get everything elevated to see how, how quickly there's any
Oh,
pain in
yeah.
her head, if there is anything. So and I don't know. I don't want to speak. I don't. That's just my idea. I have no idea, actually,
Yeah.
to be honest. So I
I-
don't
I'm
know
not a doctor. I just play one on TV. Yeah. No, I got you.
exactly.
Yeah, no, it was kind of funny though. We actually had an earlier game, right? So it's like we were excited about, oh, we get to cover the game. We're gonna get out at a reasonable time. Like, this is gonna be great. And then we're sitting there and we're like, I feel like the game's supposed to have already started. The lead up to the game was a little bit goofy. There was kind of these weird breaks during shoot around and then in between. And we were trying to figure out, like, what is going on? Like, this thing should have tipped off already. Is this like one of those weird TV random start times where it's like, it's not 3, it's like 3:07 or right? But it turns out that the backboard, the LED lighting for when the shot clock expires, on the one that was on our end of the court, malfunctioned, and this section that was like this long was like flashing green. First off, I didn't even know they were RGBs. I just thought they were red because it's the only color they ever show. But
Right.
but then it was sitting there flashing. They're like, we can't start the game because that's distracting to shooters, right? So then they had to get somebody out there, and she's working on it and playing with all the wiring, trying to get it to work. And it was only like a 7-minute delay, but it felt like a long time.
That's the way it works. It's like, yeah, we're supposed to start on time. Hold on, the lights aren't working.
Well, and of course, if it felt long for us, I bet it felt real long for the lady that was trying to fix it, right? Because you got 10 plus thousand people sitting there watching you do your job.
Is it this wire that's shaky? Is it this wire that's
Exactly.
shaky?
Yeah.
But at least you got it fixed and you guys got set up and were able to get home by 9 o'clock.
Right, exactly. No, it was kind of an interesting game also in the way that it started exactly the way the last game with the Connecticut Sun did, and they came out really flat, fell behind, early, and then they get that quick timeout, score ends up being like, 17-8 or whatever, that kind of spread both games, get that early timeout, and then it was all Storm from there. They jumped out to a 21-point lead, and it just kind of fluctuated from there. I think they finished with roughly a 15 or 16-point victory. So this game was never really in question after that initial kind of slump. So if they can figure that out, the defense of this team and like the relentlessness of their defense is really kind of what they're building their identity on.
Gotcha. And I don't mean to hop, skip, and jump here, but
Yeah.
is it the rugby or is it the arena football that's playing now?
Both. Yeah. So both are playing. Yeah.
The arena team,
Yep.
do they play a team in Pennsylvania? Is there, I want you to check that because I think I was made aware of a team that plays in Pennsylvania. They play in Reading, actually, which is about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from me. But they're like, hey, when are you going to come out to come watch us play? Which was interesting to me that the team actually reached out to ask me if I was coming out to play. And I thought, well, you know what? That would be an interesting one to go and use your credential in an away game.
Yeah, I don't think it's this league. I think it's probably the IFL.
It could be.
I I would bet it's the IFL. I don't believe it is the AF1. The AF1 does have a couple of new teams, so
Could
there's
be
that.
the AF2. I know that there was an AF2 for a minute as well.
There's also the NAL. The NAL and the IFL are probably the two more prominent leagues when it comes to the amount of teams and size of the leagues. AF1 is newer, right? Even though it has a long history, it's newer. It came back into existence 3 years ago.
Right. So I know all about the AF1 because at one point Ron Jaworski owned 6 of the 8 teams.
Well, that was when it was the AFL, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, I'm like, oh, okay, you can't own all of the teams. It doesn't quite work that way.
If you win them all, you win a championship all the time.
There you go. But he was just literally trying to keep that league afloat for a while, so it was just more of that. But they had reached out to me a couple of weeks ago, and I keep forgetting to bring it up. I was like, oh, this is a perfect time. We're on a holiday. Sports is, nobody's really listening because they're all at the beach. Well, not your people yet. They're probably just waking up. So anybody listening to us is probably fishing right now.
That would be accurate. Yeah. If anybody here on the West Coast is watching, yeah.
Or listening on the radio,
Yep.
because they're just waiting for the smooth jazz because that helps the fish bite.
Yeah, that's right. But you can bet on those teams right here on Coast to Coast. Thanks for the assist, Wen. Use the QR code on the screen. Up to 125% of your first 3 deposits, 10% bet guarantee. There you go.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's I love it when when our people are saying, "Hey, it's time for a commercial because you guys are no good."
Yeah, right. They're like, we would rather watch ads. Just stop. Speaking of sports gambling, actually, so I was thinking of this next year doing my my Pick'em show. Instead of doing the sports bar series, doing it at one of the casinos, right? Because then you could actually take our sports betting advice, because although it's brought to you by Bet Us, you can't actually use that in Washington State, right? So I was trying to get a hold of Snoqualmie Casino here, and it was funny because their info, like email, right? You get zero response from that. So that seems like it's going to somebody that does their job well. So then I get a hold of somebody on LinkedIn, and they're like, oh yeah, send them the email, whatever. And so then I reached back out to her, and I was like, yeah, I got no response, whatever. And she's like, oh, okay, let me look further into it. And she's like, what about now? I was like, yeah, still nothing. She's like, yikes. Right. Which is not what you want to hear from somebody that works in the building. Right. So
yikes.
So then she gives me a phone number, and, I was like, okay, well, I'll call on Monday, 'cause this was like a Friday or whatever. And then I get an email on Monday before I would have a chance to call. And it was funny because you could tell this was an email from somebody that got chewed out for not doing their job, because they're like, yeah, we're going to have to pass. That was the extent of the email. It was like, oh, okay. Like, you probably didn't run that up the chain at all. You probably just went and found this email and was like, no, because I just got in trouble. You are never coming here. Which, fair enough.
Hey, listen, that's well, and I assume this is on an Indian reservation.
Yeah.
I'd keep it going. I'd keep sending emails like, well, why not? Why do you have to pass? What's the purpose of this?
I live in between two, so I'd be just fine going to the other side. So I'm not that heartbroken about it. It's for me to get to that casino is like, it's like 45 minutes to an hour. The other one is like 40 to 50 minutes. So I mean, It does. That doesn't matter either way to me. I do like the sports book better at Snoqualmie, though.
Yeah, because it's a shame because you could, you know, I'm a firm believer that if I was to do a show like that and it's getting closer and closer,
Yeah.
I want to show the slip. Like here's my slip of the day.
Yes.
You know, it's I'm putting $10 on a parlay of 18 legs, and I know I'm going to lose on leg one, but that doesn't matter because I took Joe's advice and.
So you won one of those. You lost on 17. Yeah.
Yeah. The one I chose won. Everything else is. But I also am interested in maybe having doing 2 suicide pools, or maybe even 3. One that I do, one that we choose, and then one that we have our listeners help choose. So like we would do 3 different. Sometimes it's going to be the same team, and that's when I know that we're definitely going to lose. But
for real.
So, but either way, it would be the suicide pick. Yeah, every time I've gotten into a suicide pick that was for actual money, I have been able to split and win.
Okay.
So,
nice.
Because usually get down to the last 2 people, and we're like, I'm a firm believer that, hey, we can split and both come out winners.
Yes.
And let them say no. Because if they say no, that's the week they lose.
That's fair.
Everybody else, because if somebody asks me to split, yep, let's split it. You take your winnings and run. Because if you say no, like, oh, yeah, I feel really strong about this team this week, that's the week that team loses.
Yep.
So karma hits you.
Oh, yeah.
But I like it, that we are on show 555.
Yeah.
I saw that this morning, 555. I was like, wow, in 111 days, we're going to be on the Devil Show.
Absolutely.
So,
which
will
is
be
fitting.
right around Christmas.
Which is fitting, right? For this Christian jazz station.
Exactly.
Man.
But smooth jazz definitely that day. Today we're just going to play straight smooth jazz because we're not going to mess this up.
Yeah, right. It was funny. I was driving down to the stadium yesterday, and I didn't realize that they still played like reruns of Top 40. Right? Because I never listen to the radio. I never have time for that. Right. And so a lot of times if I'm in my car, that's when I'm returning my phone calls. I just throw my headset in, and then I know I'm going to be in traffic for an hour. So it's a great time for me to get back to people.
Right.
So, but I was driving in and I was listening to the radio, and it's playing some older songs. And I'm like, okay, like that's cool. That's cool. And then I'm hearing the voice. I'm like, this has to be like some super rerun, because
is it
I was
Casey Kasem or
it
Rick
was.
Dees?
Yeah, it was Casey Kasem, right? And I was just like, and you recognize that voice immediately, right? At least our age group does. But it was funny because as soon as he started talking, I was like, is that Casey Kasem? What is happening right now? And so then he gets into more of his talk, and he's breaking down the music, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is just a replay from the late 80s. I was like, oh, that's really funny.
But he actually went into the late 90s. I think he finally passed away in he didn't make it to 2000. I thought it was like 96, 97 that he passed away. But in the 90s, he was still doing it, and then it switched to Rick Dees. Rick Dees in the weekly top 40. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, no, like it's funny. Yeah, no. He passed away a long time ago. No, that's why it was so weird, because when his voice popped on the radio, I'm like, is that really what we're doing today? So apparently that's a thing.
So I will tell you, like, you might as well talk about this since we went the route of, hey, he's dead.
There we go.
Uh, there has been some interesting stuff coming out with the whole, you know, that Kyle Busch
Oh yeah, yeah,
passing
yeah.
away.
Pneumonia turning into sepsis like that. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's becoming more like the hard part about listening to some of the stuff that's going on is now it feels like that somebody's trying to place blame, and it's
Yeah.
a
Well,
shame because there's
especially with the like the 911 call getting released, which that seems like not great anyway, but
I mean, well, TMZ pays for everything anymore, so it's
for sure.
and especially since they screwed up a couple of different things lately, they're trying to get back in everybody's. Oh yeah, like we actually do things right. Yeah, no, you
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
But money talks, and that's somebody paid for $1 million to. Oh, here's that recording that I happen to work in the office, and you
Yep.
know, hey, I just got a brand new car. I wonder who got that $1 million. You know,
Yeah,
but
that was somebody on their last day. They were getting fired anyway. They're like, yeah, sure, that'll work.
it's a shame that it's going that route. Like, all right, now they're trying to blame the wife. They're trying to blame the team. It's like, listen, if he was that sick,
Yeah.
and he chose to go to work that day.
Mhm.
Some people don't like to go to the doctors. I know I'm that way.
Sure.
You
Absolutely.
know, uh, that's what kind of gets me. The fact that I chose not to go to the doctors, or that there should be a medical team. Like, he's in an area where there should be a medical team there on site anyway. Or at least a
Yep.
skeleton crew of some.
Well, I mean, there is at like at the tracks and stuff. There's always medical teams there. So
Right. So to going sepsis is not easy.
yeah. One, it was
That's not
fast.
easy. Yeah, and like acute pneumonia. All right, hey, I can't. I'm having this, and then you're wearing down your system because you're doing work and you're getting all this stuff. I mean, what that tells me is that there is a possibility that there are certain things that happen in that race car that forced the because all sepsis is like, hey, your blood has gotten infected.
Yeah.
Right? And the moment your blood gets infected, that spreads like wildfire. So it's
Yes.
because your blood moves very quickly around your body. So
Yep.
I don't know. Like, I just feel bad about the entire situation now, because it's like this isn't going to go away, and
No,
you
because
can't
now you're
point.
going to look at like what caused it to go so quickly, right? And yeah, so when it's funny because after that race, Watkins Glen, he asked for a doc to be ready. That's not super unheard of. Usually it's for dehydration, right? He had a cough going in. It sounded like he was exhibiting, like a worsened cough and lightheadedness and whatever. And so for him to seek out the doc makes sense. But again, I mean, they have one available all the time because, I mean, when you're in the race car, it's hot. You're in there for a long time. Dehydration happens. So it's not super uncommon for somebody to want to, get a hold of the doc and whatever. But, obviously this was a very different situation.
Right. And so, I mean, obviously, we're going to continue to hear more and more about this until somebody finally gets their head on a spike. I feel like that's what we're doing. That this is a little bit of a witch hunt.
Yeah. No. And so Wen's point here is, it is kind of, that's the way I feel about it too. He ignored his health, continued to race. And not that is really anything different than the rest of us do. Right. Like, we're all trying not to go to the doctor. You know, I would say we probably all wait too long before we actually go. Especially guys.
Yeah.
I mean, just in general, guys are like, yeah, I mean, my arm, it's not attached anymore. But then we just fall into but it's just a flesh wound. Like, you know, so
Put some dirt on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be
Walk it
fine.
off.
So, yeah. And yeah, I
But-
mean, people do it all the time, but you never expect that, like, it's going to kill you for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. And since we're talking about racing a little bit,
Yeah.
I definitely have to mention I happened to watch the last 2 laps of the Indianapolis 500. And
Oh, yeah.
you want to talk about the heartbreaker for the one guy. He takes the lead. So they go into caution, you
Mhm.
know, and they go 2 laps around with caution. And then the final 2 laps, and the one guy takes the lead. I think it's the first time he's led all race long. He's running around, and as he gets close, the other guy just gets up there and just ekes him out. It's the closest finish in Indy 500 racing history,
Oh, okay.
and it was like 0.0266
Oh, yeah.
seconds.
Right there.
That's how big of a difference it was. And this guy took the lead with the last 2 laps. They said they start, he takes the lead, and the guy who was in the lead most of the race comes back and actually wins it. And like I said, in 0.0266 seconds.
I mean, that's why you led most of the race, right?
Yeah.
Had that little bit faster car.
But they had to look at it a few times, be able to make sure that it was correct, and they got it correct. And
Nice.
it was really interesting. And the other thing that's really interesting about that is because they have a NASCAR race that night, and it was the first female to ever. There's been a couple of guys that have done it, including Kyle Busch, that have run the Indy 500 and then have done the Coca-Cola 600.
Okay.
And this was the first year a female has done it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Where
I thought Danica did it once.
She did not.
Early in her career.
She did, but this woman was the first one to go, because it's not only like you have to, the moment the race is over, you have to like get out of the car, get to a private jet, fly there, get into another car, and get into this race very quickly. It's the window of time to be able to hit both is not easy. So you have to have that all very well planned out to do it. I'm not sure exactly where she fell into both races. You know, if she was able to finish both races. There's only been 2 people to ever do it ever and finish all 1,100 miles in a day. So I'm not sure if she had done that, but I had heard that she was going to give this the old college try, and you know, hopefully she did well. I will look that up and have the answer for us tomorrow, along with her name, because like I said, I knew that she was a woman. You know, and I don't want to kill it and stuff like that, and you know, because you know, there's been like 8 guys that have done it, only 2 that have completed the entire both races and did 1,100 miles in the one day.
Crashed out. That's too bad. Like lap 16.
Gaia. Well, I appreciate that. At least somebody knows that I'm telling the right story here, at least.
Yeah. So speaking of telling the right story and ending on a funny note, the Browns still have no idea who they want as a quarterback. And
so that's just funny. The Browns.
Exactly. It seemed like a good way to wrap this thing up. So this was, well, I'll just play it. Oh, come on.
A couple heads-up picks, knocked the ball out a couple times. Did you like your aggression?
Yeah. We threw interceptions in 7-on-7, for God's sakes. I mean, who does that? There's no pass rush. I mean, it's embarrassing.
So from what I'm hearing is Watson
Was his
actually
voice strained already? Like he couldn't talk because he's
Yeah,
been yelling so much?
it was the sadness. It does sound like Watson is their front runner. Which how bad is that if you are Gabriel and Sanders, if you are losing this quarterback battle to a guy that hasn't played good football in 5 years? Like that's rough.
Yeah, but he does, say whatever we want to about the joke about this in general.
Yeah.
He does have all of that NFL experience.
No, he absolutely
And that does make a difference.
Yeah.
It's going to make a difference here.
He absolutely does. It's funny because you have 2 draft picks, albeit neither one of them high draft picks, right? But still, you got a guy that hasn't played good football in 5 years. The little bit that he has played has not looked good, right? And so I think over the course of that time, he has like 3 or 4 like actual good games. And this is the guy that is winning this quarterback battle. I don't know. It doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. I'll put it that way.
Well, I will say he's got to be very well rested.
Yes, that is for sure. Yeah. Since
his muscles are probably feeling good. He's gotten all the massages he's needed. And,
no doubt.
Hey, I'm well rested. The Achilles is fine now because I haven't played in 2 years. And
well, yeah, because you hurt your own rehab being stupid. Like, yeah, I don't know. It just sounds like the Browns dumpster fire will continue.
Yeah, I mean, you got to imagine that there's somebody who wants to get into the world of football, who's got a lot of money, who's saying, you know what, I think I could,
do this better.
Change. Yeah, just change the thought process. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, let's face it, they are a brand new franchise in the grand scheme of things. They have only been around, the Browns themselves, this franchise has only been around for what, 27 years?
Yeah, I was going to say it's close to 30 years. Yeah.
So it's like, my thought is that you could probably sell them for a lot of money.
Oh, you'd make money for sure. Yeah. And it's funny because and we've said this a ton of times, that ownership is definitely an issue because they've had good rosters. Like they've had times where you're like, this team should win. And you can't blame it on coaching because they've had a lot of those too. Right. So the only common denominator here is that ownership group. And it's something we talk about with the Jets too. Right. They end up with similar situations. Even when they've had good rosters, they find a way to mess it up. So
Woody will be Woody.
Yep.
Like I said, the moment that the Jets sell to a group that is owned by Gary V, the Jets will become relevant.
Yep.
Until that point, Joe Namath is a long time ago.
It's been a minute. Yeah. Apparently Tony Stewart was the only one to complete both races.
Okay.
Go wire to wire in both. And that actually makes sense.
I thought they mentioned a second person who did go wire to wire in both, but I digress because I can't look it up while I'm low on my phone.
Well, especially because we are out of time. So if you are listening on the radio, 97.3, we do have some smooth jazz headed your way. Smooth jazz. And then, of course, if you are listening on every other platform, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our content to you. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great Memorial Day. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace.